Andrew has to go away for a work function, and so I have jumped in and joined him because he is going to the most beautiful part of our province. We're travelling inland to the Midlands, and we're off to a place called Posca to stay in a beautiful country house with some friends of ours. It's absolutely exquisite and just what I need to get away and paint for the weekend. I'm packing my things to go away this weekend, so I thought I'd give you a quick look at the things that I'm packing. First of all, I'm packing four sketchbooks. These little tiny Moleskine sketchbooks, I always keep one of these in my handbag anyway, so I've always got one of these with me, and I find them really useful if I'm, just sitting in the car, or even if I'm just going for a little bit of a walk. They're really handy to take with me, so I always have one of these on me. And then the reason why I'm taking 3 sketchbooks is because sometimes when you're sitting drawing, and if you've got any wet material on the surface, sometimes it's nice to work on more than one thing at a time, because then you can set a book aside and allow it to dry for a little bit. So I am taking this Royal Talens Art Creation Sketchbook. We don't get these in South Africa, which I'm really sad about. I have to always order these in. I wish someone in South Africa would bring some Royal Talens Art Creation sketchbooks in, because I absolutely love these. So I'm taking that one. It's one of my favorite ones to use. And then I have I think this one, this is a Moleskine. So this is just an ordinary Moleskine sketchbook. And I think that this is a Monte Marte sketchbook, and this one is a landscape sketchbook. So we are going into the country this weekend, so I thought maybe a landscape one would be nice to take with me. I must be honest, I find it quite hard to work in these landscape ones, but yeah, that's what I'm taking with me in terms of sketchbooks. Now let me show you what art materials I'm taking with me. Now, I thought I was being really clever. I decided that this weekend, because we're only going away for one night, that I wouldn't take any paint with me. But it seems like I've actually overloaded myself with all sorts of other stuff. I think my bag's going to be a little bit heavier than I intended. But I really have tried to pare down what I'm taking. Now, in this little bag here, I've just added all of my gelatos, and I haven't taken my whole tin of gelatos. I've just packed obviously some earthy colors, some greens, some blues for skies, and the gelatos, of course, are water soluble. So into here, I am popping 2 water pens. I'm not taking any paint brushes with me. I just like to take these water pens. So that's what I'm taking with me to dissolve the gelato. So if I need to do any skies or whatever, that's what I will use. So I'll pop those in there. I've also got a few nice autumnal colors in here. We're in autumn at the moment, and I just know that the colors are going to be beautiful and autumnal. So a little bag with some gelatos that I plan to use to get down big layers of areas of color. The other thing that I'm taking to get down layers of color are my markers. So I do have some paint markers in here. I always love to travel with, especially this neutral one. I find this a really helpful one to have. I'm traveling with just 2 paint markers. I love these Faber Castel watercolor pens, and then I've just got a whole range of markers in here that will hopefully allow me to put down areas of color. And then for working back into with details, I'm obviously going to pull out some of my favorite colored pencils, and I'm going to put them also into just a little pouch. I'm not going to take my entire collection of pencils. I keep all my colored pencils in glass jars like this. I'm going to pull out just some of the colors that I know I will use. So like some nice autumnal colors, and probably all my lovely greens, browns, and colors that I will be able to use to work in detail. So I'll pull some of those out soon. And then I'm also taking my chalk pastels. My chalk pastels I keep in just a little separate container. This is my traveling set. I break all of my pastels in half so that I can keep a little set at home, and I can keep a set to travel with. All my warm colors on this side, all my cool colors on this side. And I actually pop them onto a little bed of rice. I'm not sure if you can see that. There's actually some rice underneath here, and the rice just helps to keep them clean and stops them bumping against one another and, you know, breaking. Some of them are a little bit soft. So those are my chalk pastels, which are really easy to take along because they're nice and compact. And then last of all, I'm taking my oil pastels, and I do the same thing with my oil pastels. I have separated just some of my favorite colors into little compartments so it's easy to find them. And I do the same thing. I purchase in a set, break them in half so that I have a set at home to use in my studio and a set to travel with. So I thought I was traveling light, but actually I think my backpack is going to be pretty heavy. Thank goodness I packed all the autumnal colours, because the Midlands is absolutely exploding with autumn glory. Beautiful, rich colours and lovely autumn filtered light. I couldn't wait for Andrew to disappear off to his work function so that I could take a little walk and find a spot to paint. Andrew's gone off to his work function. I've got about 2 hours before I have to join him, so come and join me on a little walk. I'm keen to find a little spot where I can pull out my sketchbooks and my materials and spend some time enjoying it. So I've had a short little walk from the beautiful place that we are staying at, and I wanted to show you the beautiful little view. There are so many gorgeous little spots that I could have found to sit at. I think I could spend a whole week here and find a new place to paint every single day. But I've just brought my sketchbooks with me, and it's absolutely beautiful here. Bought a little bit of a picnic lunch. I'm on my own. I've left Andrew to go off and do his work things. I have to go and join him later, so I haven't exactly got painting clothes on. But I'm looking forward to about 2 hours of time to myself to just paint. So, or draw, whatever, in my sketchbook. Have some fun, just relax. I'm sure that the camera's not picking up the beautiful bird song, but it is dead quiet here. Dead quiet and just incredibly beautiful. I can't think of a better way to spend my afternoon. And truly, this is just soul food. It's like filling up your soul tank when you've had a busy, crazy week, especially living in the city. Coming out to a place like this is just incredible. So, shall I show you the view? Let me show you the little spot I picked. I came from up there. The road is somewhere up there. And I'm surrounded by a beautiful little alcove of trees. And then a little lake ahead of me. The ducks out on the lake. Beautiful expanse, and then I've got a huge fir tree just behind me. I've been warned that there are lots of snakes around, because although we're going into autumn, it's still been quite warm. So I found, as you can see, a big grassy spot to sit on so I can make sure there's no snakes around. I really don't like snakes. Yeah, beautiful. Look at the skies. We only stayed for one night, unfortunately, but it was so beautiful to get away, and I went on one or two more walks on my own, and I did a few sketches, but I'll show them to you when I'm back in the studio. Of course, I took loads and loads of beautiful photographs to keep me inspired even when I'm back in the studio and back in the city again. I'm back in my studio after a fabulous weekend away, and I thought I would do a little bit of a sketchbook tour with you and show you just some of the drawings that I did while we were away in my sketchbook. I didn't always have my camera with me to film, and after filming just a little bit on the first day and kind of feeling rushed because I knew I had to meet Andrew in 2 hours' time, I also wanted to just spend some time relaxing this weekend with my sketchbooks and really enjoying the time and not worrying too much about filming because I was only away for one night. I really wanted to make sure I made the most of it and enjoyed it. But I will go back and do a little bit of a sketchbook tour with you and show you some of the things I did and tell you the materials that I used to make them in the hopes it'll help you and inspire you to pull out your sketchbooks too. Now, I know one of the things I'm going to get asked is what do I carry all of my materials in? So I thought I would show you the bag that I have. I found it at a local shop here in South Africa. I haven't bought a purpose made art carrier bag because I actually find them quite pricey. All I did was made sure that I found a bag that had all the things I needed. So, for example, this bag can be a bit of a backpack. It can go on my back, but it's also got a lovely handle so I can carry it. It's got a lovely little pouch in the front where I can pop some keys or my wallet or anything little or even a few snacks. And the clip undoes, undo it and show you. And the bag can actually extend into a bit of a bigger bag, which I find really helpful if I'm taking away any bigger sketchbooks with me. And if you look inside, what you obviously can't see inside, but it's also got separate little compartment where I can keep my books separate from the materials or anything that I want to keep separate. You'll be amazed at what this bag can hold. And it was way more affordable than purchasing a specialty art carry bag. So do yourself a favor, and if you're looking for things to carry your art supplies, have a look around your local stores and see if you can't find something that will tick all the boxes of the special compartments and things that you need. I absolutely love this bag. You'll be amazed what fits into it. So that is what I use when I go away to pack all my art materials into. Now, before I show you the little sketchbook tour and show you some of the things that I made, I also want to tell you that this week, as a thank you to the friends who had us to stay, who hosted us for the one evening, I painted a little painting in the post of their beautiful little country cottage that we stayed in. Now, I painted it as a little paintings in the post. Paintings in the post are small little postcard size paintings that I started doing as little daily painting projects almost 10 years ago. I managed to complete 568 little daily paintings, little postcard size paintings, and they traveled all over the world. So I obviously don't have time to do them every single day anymore, but I do love to do them when I get a chance. And I try to at least do maybe one a week or one every 2 weeks, just as a way of keeping my eye in. So this week, my little paintings in the post was a little painting of the gorgeous cottage that we stayed in, a little oil painting to give to our friends as a thank you gift. So right at the end, I'll show you the little oil painting as well. As a side note, in case you were wondering, what was moving above my head, there's a little flight of stairs that goes up to the rest of my house from my studio, and one of the dogs were walking behind me, just in case you were wondering what on earth was moving above my head. These are the 3 sketchbooks I took away with me. I think I have already recorded what kinds of sketchbooks they are, but just in case I didn't, this is a Royal Talens art creation sketchbook and a Moleskine and a Monte Marte landscape one. So let me put them all aside, and I'm going to start with the one that is the Royal Talens art creation sketchbook. It's one of my favorite sketchbooks to work in. I love the paper in here. and it's a new one that had just arrived in time for me to go away, so I hadn't done anything in it yet. And this is the page that I did on the afternoon where I was a bit pushed for time. I had 2 hours before I had to go and join Andrew, and I took the perspective of the water and the beautiful moody sky that was above. There was quite a bit of cloud coming in, so I had to work quite quickly. The sky kept changing. There was a big rain, a big storm coming in, which hit us later that evening. So the clouds were really dark and moody, and the light actually changed quite drastically while I was there. So as I was working, I kept reworking, but eventually I had to get to a point where I had to stop, and it was probably quite a blessing that I had to get to Andrew. So these are just a lot of gelatos that I used with my water brush, and then I worked over them with some details. Let me see if you can see, with some pencil, some colored pencil working into it. So I think it was a lot of gelato, a lot of water, brush, and simply colored pencil to start building a few textures and get some values in it. Then the next day I went for a quick walk. This was just in the back garden, and I was simply trying to plot some of the different shapes of the trees. I literally went walking just with a blue crayon, and there was the most gorgeous lemon trees in the garden. I have never seen lemon trees so full and bursting and heavy with lemons. Now I'm not sure if you can see, but I actually drew this lemon. I did the little drawing with the same blue pen that I was using just to capture the different shapes of the trees. This was literally a very, very quick sketch, honestly, 5 minutes sketching, just looking at different shapes and forms. And then I was so intrigued with the lemons, so I didn't actually have any colors with me. I did the colors when I got back. So the drawing was simply the blue pen. And when I got back, I worked in with marker pen. Now, I better stop this for a moment. Someone is at the gate and the dogs are about to go crazy. Okay, problem solved. You didn't have to be bombarded by barking dogs. So I think I've just explained to you how I only went walking with the blue pen, and I used the blue pen to draw with. And when I got back, I used marker pens and a little bit of, I think it was colored pencil working over. Now, normally I like to work quite expressively. This is way too realistic for me. You know, if you know my work, you know that I love to work realistically. But I also believe that there's such value in simple observation. So observing shapes, colors, forms. And I think it is way easier to be a bit more abstract and expressive when you know that you are actually able to see and record. So this for me, while it's not quite as expressive as I'd like, it's a really good exercise in just learning to observe. So I think also if I go back, I use a little bit of I can feel now because I've sealed it. I used a little bit of chalk pastel on here as well. I think definitely bringing out these highlights. I can feel I've sealed it when I got home. So it was just two things in that book. In this book here, I think, oh yes, this was just sitting in the garden as well, in the little back garden. There were some beautiful blooms flowering, even though it is autumn. There's some beautiful autumn blooms flowering, and just all the lovely different shades of green, all the colors of things changing in the garden now over autumn. I don't think, no, none of that is from there. But for this one, I simply use chalk pastel. So the sky is actually chalk pastel, and then I have used my water brush to go over the chalk pastel to create a bit of a painterly effect. I'm not sure if you can see there the effect that it creates. So I've put down some chalk pastel and then actually gone over it with my water brush to kind of create a bit of a watery mark as well. So this was just working really quickly with my chalk pastels, looking at different shapes and different colors. And I think that was the only one I got done in this sketchbook. And in the afternoon, just before I went to go and join Andrew, I think I did one other in this sketchbook. I really find it hard to work in these landscape sketchbooks. I don't know why. You would think when you're working landscape, it becomes easier. But I think it's because I actually really like to work across a double page like that. I find that shape easier to work in, or easier to plot the composition than actually working with this shape of composition. And I also obviously working across the 2 pages, the composition then becomes too long. So I must say I struggle a bit more with these landscape shape books. But this again was simply working with the gelatos and a bit of chalk pastel and a bit of colored pencil. I didn't actually really work much with the oil pastels, so I needn't have really taken them with me. I found I used the chalk pastels, the colored pencils, and the gelatos more than anything. Although I have to say, I really did miss having some paint to work with. And I think that is because paint allows me to be really expressive. I'm never really looking for realistic, uh, realistic drawings. I know that the lemons were quite realistic, but in my sketchbooks, it's more about just creating the impression of what I am seeing in that moment of seeing and observing and recording. So just some really simple expressive marks that express in a few moments the things that you are seeing. So I hope you enjoyed just having a peek. I hope it's encouraged you to get out your sketchbooks. Remember, your sketchbooks are not about creating works of art. They are simply about getting stuck in and expressing with materials the things that your eyes seeing. So thanks for joining me. I'm going to very quickly show you the little paintings in the post that I did as a gift for the friends of ours. And again, I work really quickly, really expressively with the oil paint, avoiding going in with too much detail. Oh, and if you want a little treat, stay tuned right to the end. I'll show you some of the crazy things that don't make the cut when I'm filming and editing. Andrew and I have a funny little conversation in the car on the way up. Some of the weird things that just don't make it sometimes. Looking forward to going away?
Right?
Are you looking forward to going away for the weekend?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Yes, very much so. Forward to a little trip to the Midlands.
Good.
How about you, Fluffy?
Oh no, you can't call me Fluffy on camera. I'm looking forward to a weekend away. Are you looking forward to doing some work?
I'm not working today. Actually, watch some rugby and hockey and entertain a couple of old boys at market. So I was really looking forward to it.
Will I be watching rugby with you?
You're not going to watch rugby. That's really down your alley, is it?
Where will I be?
Painting, probably. Shopping. Finding itsy-bitsy pieces that you can buy from our credit card.
Oh, yay! Am I getting your credit card? That's exciting to know. Can I hold you to it now that it's on camera? Okay, I'll let you drive in peace.